Right, we put out the question this evening, and the question was Ghana has postponed the planned visit by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. Do you think this was the right decision? And what message does this send about relations between Ghana and South Africa? You have been sharing your perspectives, and I'm going to look at some of the reactions that have come in. Toko Chika Wanda says, "No man is an island. Keep it up, Ghana. They must even completely cancel it." And Kidias Manda says, "There is no smoke without fire. Something is about to happen, and South Africa's government is afraid. Now just watch the space." Okay. And then this one here coming from Nhlema Goodman, who says, this is a very good decision. All other African countries should do the same. Then they will know the consequences of their actions. The consequences of their actions. And then Isaac Bushman Nchulu Manda says, "I think all African countries have to join hands so that South Africa, they can stay alone with their beautiful country. I'm so proud of the president of Ghana." So these are a lot of your reactions coming in. And Harrison Mountain Peary saying that I'm in support of it. In fact, all African presidents should emulate Ghana's president. Now, as we continue the conversation, diplomatic relations between Ghana and South Africa have come under strain following tensions that have led to the repatriation of thousands of African nationals. A planned state visit by South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa to Ghana has been postponed, hence the question we put out to you and your reactions coming in very strongly, with Ghanaian authorities citing concerns that his presence could trigger public protests amid the heightened anger over the treatment of foreign nationals in South Africa. For more on the conversation, we're joined on the line by our correspondent in Ghana, Eric Mawena Egbeta. Eric, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Pleasure to join as well.
Perhaps let's start here. I mean, we put out a question on air, just trying to get a sense of what people think about this postponement. A lot, in fact, the majority are saying good on Ghana for making this move. How significant is this decision in terms of diplomatic relations between the two countries?
Well, for starters, the government's position is that this does not strain diplomatic tensions between Ghana and South Africa in any way. The government's communications person has been speaking and providing a bit more in terms of clarity. Now, what we've been learning is that this visit was pre-planned. Cyril Ramaphosa was expected in Ghana between the 4th to the 7th of August of next month. What we understand was that in light of the recent conversation surrounding xenophobic attacks and what have you, a number of considerations were made. What we understand is that Ghana's president, to be specific, was the one who asked that, look, the conversations could be impeded to a great extent by recent developments and the cloud of conversations surrounding xenophobia and all of that, that could hang over the conversations, the very important conversations. And these are the exact words which were used by the government spokesperson, that important conversations were to be had, diplomatic ties were to be strengthened, but xenophobic attacks continue to hang around all of the activities in relation to South Africa. Hence the decision to want to defer his arrival to a later time when conversations like these will not hang over the important matters which are to be discussed. Reason why they're asking that this be postponed.
Because Ghana says public anger over the treatment of its nationals in South Africa played a role here. And that brings to question just how strong public sentiment on the ground in Ghana is at the moment. I mean, we've seen so many presidents across the continent also interacting and engaging with South Africa to ensure that undocumented citizens of their own are able to leave South Africa. And there has been no problem. It's been a working relation. The buses have arrived and the presidents have been in good communication.
I think the extra context perhaps that comes up in terms of this recent conversation is news of a killing of a Ghanaian somewhere around Cape Town. That despite everything which has happened, yes, Ghanaians have expressed disquiet as to the xenophobic attacks and the actions there leading to the repatriation of close to 1,000 persons. I think the latest really is what, and we sampled a few views here in the capital after that happened. It was a lot of disgust to a great extent. Yes, South African authorities say this was not at all in relation to xenophobic attacks, but what the Ghanaian government has communicated was that they believe this to have been a part of xenophobic attacks, and that has not sat down well with a cross section of Ghanaians who feel, yes, you can be angry and demand that undocumented citizens leave South Africa, and that's fair. But to go to the extent of taking a life is where a lot of people felt that the line had been drawn in, and perhaps it went too far. That I can understand rings loud in terms of all sorts of conversations that could possibly come up, and that is one area which the Ghanaian government has considered. Because mind you, if a state if there's a state visit that is communicated via a public notice to all of the citizenry, roads are closed and certain courtesies are offered, right? And so in calculating that, the announcement will be made, a release will be made that South Africa's president is coming for a 3-day visit. Roads will be closed at this intersection and all of that. Weighing all of that in terms of security, and then the conversation and the clouds of xenophobia which could hang over everything else, the Ghanaian government felt it was best to have the tension simmer a bit in terms of xenophobic attacks and all of the conversations. Then he can come in, and then the conversations will not center so greatly on what's been happening in South Africa, and the two countries can proceed further in terms of business and trade and other matters, which they've done for a very long time.
Very well, because South Africa has repeatedly condemned vigilantism and xenophobic violence, with a number of government officials, including President Cyril Ramaphosa himself, pledging action against those responsible. Thank you very much, our correspondent in Ghana, Eric Mawena Egbeta, there, giving us a sense of some of the tensions between Ghana and South Africa coming under strain in the midst of issues around the repatriation of thousands of African nationals. But that, as Eric says, is a matter that will simmer for now, so that discussions are not dominated by this and other matters are able to be discussed.
What